This is my liquid density experiment. I'm going to be following the same procedures that I gave for my experiment. So, step one, you get all the materials together, which I already have all of my cups and all of my materials, and I'm also recording from a distance so you can see what it looks like while I'm doing it closer. So, the first thing that you want to start with is honey. Now, as I said in the experiment, you want to pour slowly so it doesn't get on the sides. That could affect the other liquids. And so I'm going to start pouring slowly, and it should go straight down, not on the sides, right in the middle. And this is 8 ounces, and it wouldn't be exact 8 ounces because of the cylinder that I'm using and not getting all of the liquid. And you can see that I'm doing it as thoroughly as I can. And besides having a little bit left, we got most of it out. And for that, we will add a couple drops of the honey. And I would say that's about. So we're done with that cup. And for the next one, you need corn syrup. And it is right here. And I already dyed it. I used green dye so you could see it better. And you also want to keep it straight in the middle, not on the sides. And I also have a spoon in here because I was stirring with it. So let's pour this. Let's actually let this settle for a little bit. And before we move on to the next one, we'll just say that in every step you're going to need a glass cylinder and the liquid you're using. Yeah. As you can see in this one, it's still a little settled, so we'll start with corn syrup. And you won't be able to see in this one, but you can see in this one. So I'm going to pour slowly. So it's working, but you can't really tell the difference between the brown and the green. So I might, oh, you can a little bit. So that's good. That's good. And I'll show you guys from this side after, but you can, in this angle, you can see that the density is working. You can tell that it stops right here, even though it mixes a little bit. Okay. Next step is the dish soap, which I kept blue. The procedure asked for blue, so I'm using blue. And we'll slowly start pouring this one in. And as you can tell, it goes down a little bit, but then it comes up. And that is working pretty well. I didn't expect it to be as noticeable as you could tell. You can see that it goes from the honey to the corn to the soap. And you can also see in this angle that it shows it. And I used most of it. It isn't exact, and I'll measure it after the end, after I finish. Okay. So the next liquid is water, and I'm gonna need the paste. It's right here. And so it's okay if they touch the side, and you want it to touch the sides, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna start slowly just start pouring it. And then in the procedure, I wanted to basically keep it going from mixing in with the rest. And it won't probably be as noticeable as I thought, because it is water mixed thing with dish soap. So it isn't working as well. As you can tell, it's using, instead of having the water, it's actually soap. So you can tell that, you can see it a little bit, which I like that, but you can tell that I do have water there. And that's actually, when you get a different angle, you can tell that it stops there and then the bubbles arise. Okay, so now we're done with that one. Step 6. So this one we're gonna be using vegetable oil. This one you probably won't see as much because it goes from clear to a little less clear. So it's the same thing. So we're gonna do this. We're just gonna let it, and as you can tell, it goes down to the bottom. You can see in this angle that it's actually starting from the bottom. That went a little over, but we'll clean it up. You can also see that it keeps on going over, but that's fine. We'll just add a little more because it is going over, because you have to be quick with it. So this is another thing I found, that if you don't want to use the food baster and you don't have one, you can still do it softly, pouring it in. Just, I wouldn't start a lot. So I'm not going to add any extra ones because I already did have a little bit over. So after we clean this up, look at that. So that's good. Let's make this one. Okay, so the next one would be rubbing alcohol. So I'm gonna go wash this out real quick. I'll be back. Okay, so this layer would be the rubbing alcohol, which is right there. So this one. So as far, you can also see that it is not blending, which I like that because you can tell the difference. And from this angle, you can't really see the difference, but once you get down to a different angle, as Mr. Liberty once said, we'll see different angles, because you can't, from this angle, all I see is the 3 ones, but when I get lower, I can see different ones. So I'm going to color the liquid because they want you to do that. So let it mix. So I got a spoon. And now we're gonna let it mix. And I use green for both of them because this is green and this isn't as green as I expected, so we will do that at different times. And again, put it in the food waster. Let it just trickle down. And again, you can do it as pouring in the cup if you did not have this. And you can tell the bubbles just went away, which that was pretty cool, because it just basically took them away as soon as it got higher. And this one, I guess, mixed with the same color a little bit. It's a little more green. So I'm gonna do this so it goes a little faster, so you can see. I'm showing it right here on this angle. You can also see it from that angle, that it is creating a sort of diversion between the colors. And that's how much I have. So next step would be this is the last one, which is lamp oil, and this one will probably be the most difficult, so I'm gonna go rinse this out again. Okay, so before we move on to the next step, procedures for this one is to be really careful with what you use. So I put it over here separately so you could tell that it was different. And so during this one, what you should do is, if there does happen a flame, make sure you clean it up and it doesn't spread. So I'm gonna get it, because this is the last layer, I'm gonna get it on this camera right here so you can see that it's different. So, okay, so last layer. Also, this one's a little, I will show it from above again then, because you can't obviously tell that it is working. It's creating a lot of, I would say, in this term, bubbles, because it's cleaning air pockets instead of bubbles. So you just want to stay like focused on what you're doing, because it could be dangerous. And I can tell, once you're from this angle, which I'll show, you can tell it from this angle that it is different. A little squirt there, but that's okay. And it did work pretty well, I think. I'm gonna finish adding this. And I like it when you go a little quicker, because you can tell, you can tell what it looks like. And that was every step that I took. And before I move on, I'm just going to see that. I'm just going to show this on this camera, that you can see the different angles that there are. And I would say that this turned out pretty good. It showed, you can see it showed the density part of it. And it did, comparing it to someone else's video, it did go as planned. And it does look, again, you want to go from a different angle and a viewpoint of it. You can tell that it looks a little weird from this angle. But if I were to show you from the top, you can tell that here's some honey and so on, and you can even tell there's water there. If you go in for a little closer, then you can see this looks clear, but no, it's not. It is to the lamp oil. See? And so basically, density is comparing the matter to the volume. So the volume is something that takes up the space, which would be how much takes from the cylinder, and the mass would be how much you're using. So I would have, from here, from this angle, it looks like I'm using 4 different things. It looks like I'm using this to this to this to this. But no, as you get density, can show you that there's more to it. So the way to find density is dividing the mass of an object by its volume. And you're basically, the reason you're dividing it is because you're comparing it from one another. So the mass would be comparing it from the volume and the volume to the mass. Like this this, even though it's just a regular mug, you can tell that it doesn't matter. Because if there's more to it, you'll see more to it. Like this was, if this had more than 8 ounces, you could probably not tell that there's different layers, because this does look like one layer, this looks like one layer, and this looks like one layer, but it's not. And if there was less, if there wasn't 8 ounces and there was less, you probably would be able to tell, because it would be more flattened out. And this was the liquid density experiment. I will show you pictures of what it looked like afterwards.